All right, so I wanted to circle back. We had a couple friends ask. I will link the book because I do really like the concept. And for couples out there, whether you're married or, just dating, wherever you're at in your relationship, I do think it's really important. And I know how hard it is, especially, our lives just get so busy. And seasonally, Brendan works in the service industry where he has really busy seasons as well. But we are committing. We are committing to spending some much needed alone time, even if that means we have to fit it in on a Friday when our kids are in school, because we don't, childcare is expensive, and we've got two, and add on there that if we don't have a friend that's available for a kiddo like Kaylin, it's not uncommon to have to find a rest provider or a nurse. So either way, very, very important. Love the concept of this Scratcher Adventure Challenge book, and I will link them. I have already sent an email. I feel that I do a decent job advocating for my daughter. What I am trying to do more of is, of course, sharing the feedback on what could make a space, location, business, all of the things more accessible, where it's not always confrontational, because I love me some conflict. Not everyone is wired like me, but I do feel like not having the fear of conflict helps me advocate in some of the more awkward settings. So with that being said, this book, lovely concept, takes away the need for any one partner to have to do the planning. And that, for my household, was really valuable. Brendan wants to spend just as much as I want to spend the time with him. But communication, right, is, and then also, he's one of those guys where it's just like, well, what do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? And so it eliminates kind of the stress of him having to come up with an idea, and it's fun, and you don't know what you're getting into, so it gives me the sense of a little bit of spontaneity, I guess. With that being said, I know this is going to be the full review. I'll do a much shorter clip that I'll share on my Instagram, but this is the piece that's important. Is this book has 52 date ideas, ideally one for each week, right? They're scratch offs, so you don't know what you're getting into. It gives you kind of a key so that you can plan, which of course I love and need. And every date, it almost has like a caption, or maybe kind of like a title is a good way to think about it. So the activity that we did today was super fun. It was baking a pie. So we chose the recipe a couple days ago. Brendan got all of the things that we didn't already have in the house for it. So there's still an element of planning to it. Don't get me wrong. They're not sending you all the things for each individual date. That might be a way for them to, I don't know, capture more revenue. Our date was labeled the Helpless Baker. Okay? I still enjoyed myself. It was such a fun morning for me and Brendan. He likes baking. And I knew that this would take something that he already enjoys doing, and it kind of adds a comedic element, right? Like, we were both really excited about it. I'm sure there's going to be some dates that are more favorable to me than this, but only one partner had to be, blindfolded. Couldn't use words. He had to just guide me through. So cracking eggs blindfolded was probably my least favorite, because it texture. But the bothersome part, and why I want folks to really try to think about their language and word choices and just how we think about people and each other, is the Helpless Baker. They took away my sight for, I don't know, 45 minutes to an hour. I was blindfolded, didn't cheat, couldn't see. Taking away someone's sight doesn't make them helpless. Whether you're baking or doing other activities. And I need more people to understand that, so that my daughter not only grows up in a world that is more accessible than it is today, but is more compassionate than how we treat others. So I don't expect them to reprint books, but the more I share, when something does hit a chord like this, is I can feel a little bit better about how I'm advocating for her. And then, of course, sharing a little bit more outside of my comfort zone on social media. I feel like I've just been crying a lot lately. But so there's that. Is be more mindful of what you consider helpless. I get to live with someone that is so strong and so brave and so kind. She just happens to have a vision impairment, mobility impairments, cognitive impairments. So I am constantly reminded of what her body can't do, oftentimes because I'm lifting her. Think about the trickle effect if I didn't have to open up a book. That is calling one of my daughter's many disabilities, labeling her as helpless. Because she's helpful. Full of help. Full. Just full across the board. Full of love, full of life, full of kindness, full, like everyone else, dealing with challenges. Hers are very specific. But full. And I think when we all start learning the importance of word choice in language, it helps everyone. And of all of the problems in the world, all of them collectively, there is a shitstorm of problems. Compassion is not, it's the lack of compassion that is the problem, right? So that's what it's about, is when you are vetting a business idea, vetting a product, vetting a service, all of the things, it would benefit any and all business owners to find someone in their community that would be willing to give them some perspective on how to make that product, service, business location, all of the things more inclusive, more accessible. Design matters. And that includes language. So I've sent the email to the company. I'm not sure if I even expect a response. But what I will say is that I am going to continue to review businesses based on accessibility, and not just with my daughter's accessibility needs in mind. We know a lot of people that use their body differently than Kaylin, so I'm gonna do that. We are a family that likes to get out and about, and there are a couple apps where you can provide business reviews, and it literally kind of walks you through areas to consider when it comes to how accessible a business is, so that more people can actually rely on apps and reviews specific to accessibility. So stay tuned for more of that. Some of the lengthier reviews, if it's warranted, right, I will throw up on my YouTube channel, tag the businesses, so there's a little bit more accountability for them to either respond or, I mean, ideally do make some change. But this, why it matters, is me and Brendan know that Kaylin is not helpless. But my son has, I mean, he's nosy, but my son has opened that book, and he knows it's not his, and it's a scratch off, you know, it's like a sticker book, right? So of course he like got into it, but he can read. He can read. So he doesn't need to read. And he's going to ask. He's going to ask about our date because, you know, me and Brendan were talking about it yesterday of, you know, what mommy and daddy are going to do because daddy took a day off. So he doesn't need to open that book, and he can read every word in that book. And he doesn't need to read that a blindfolded person is helpless. So it's bigger than me. It's honestly, it's bigger than Kaylin. This is going to be helpful for all if everyone collectively can just be mindful of the words that we use. And honestly, ideally, would just like people to be so open-minded that everyone opening this Adventure Challenge book had the same initial reaction of like, well, just because I'm wearing a blindfold doesn't make me a helpless anything. So, that's my 2 cents. For what it's worth.